Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial. Today we are going to look at SimToolKit Pro. I'm going to show you how to find it, how to install it, how to configure it. Then I'm going to tie it to SimBrief. I'm going to show you how the templates work, how to make sure that the two are married and actually living in harmony together. And then lastly, what I am also going to do, which I did not do in the first version of this video, is I'm actually going to show you how to tie the actual Zibo mod into the process as well. So all three of them can live happily ever after. And I hope that's going to fill in the blanks and answer the questions that was raised yesterday, and that you guys will enjoy this version of the video and that we are going to be able to keep this one for a long time. So to get going, we obviously need to download and execute the program. We're going to start the download process from this link on the home page. It's going to take us to the download page where we will find the link for the latest version. Please download it. I have already completed that, so you need to get it and then you can follow with us as we install it later. What you also need to just understand is the updates are supposed to happen automatically, so you will more than likely only need to come and download this once from this position, unless you have an instance where something went terribly wrong and you need to start from scratch. So bear that in mind as well. If you do have a black screen on startup, there is a recipe provided for you to bypass that. Please just come back to this page, follow it, and that will help you resolve the issue. The next item that you are definitely going to require to complete this tutorial successfully is my Zibo install guide for version 3.40 or newer. This guide contains the actual Zibo figures and numbers and things that we need to fill into all the blank spots, both on SimBrief as well as in SimToolKit Pro, as well as inside of the actual Zibo mod. And so I highly recommend that you download it while we are busy talking about this right now. And now the next item that we're going to require is obviously the Zibo mod. If you want all the figures to match in terms of zero fuel weight, gross weight, and things like that, you obviously need to configure the Zibo mod correctly as well. Otherwise, it's going to be off balance. It will not correspond, and there will be no matching of numbers. And for that, and to do that, we're going to look at this page on the Zibo tablet, and we will discuss the significance of that when we get to that stage. But bear that in mind, this is one of the items we are definitely going to need and also going to look at. So guys, while we are talking about requirements, if you have additionally to everything that's already mentioned, if you have a VATSIM ID, iVeo ID, Navigraph username and password, please keep it handy. We're going to need them as we continue and as we configure SimToolKit Pro. These things will become apparent where they need it and why they need it. So please make sure you have them from this point going forward handy with you. We have now reached the stage where we can actually go and install SimToolKit Pro. So this is my download I made earlier, and it's a reasonably straightforward process. We're simply going to follow the prompts, and you guys are welcome to watch through it with me. All right, that takes care of the initial phase of the installation. In terms of the analytics, I am going to allow the program to send some of the installation information through to Dan. If you do not want to do that, that is up to you. I think the stuff that is taken from your system is non-personal anyway. It's all related to just the program itself. So we're going to say okay to that. Then there is a friendly reminder that SimToolKit Pro is in beta, and I hope that you guys understand what that means. It means that some of the things can sometimes go wrong. It's not perfect, it's still being developed, it is still being tested, and please use it in a light of that as well. So once we click on that OK, it brings us to our change log and what has changed, and this is going back very far. You can read through this if you are so inclined at your own time. I'm simply going to click OK, and if you guys want to see that again, you can simply click on the patch notes. Easy place to get them. It's way down there on the right hand side of the screen. So that is your installation itself of SimToolKit Pro. It is not configured, and I'm going to take you through the whole configuration process step by step from now on. One of the cornerstones of the aviation world, so to speak, is the nav data cycles, the AIRAC that needs to be updated on a monthly basis from the service providers. Now, in our case as flight simmers, we either get that from Nav Data Pro, from Aerosoft, or we get that from Navigraph. I think most people I know use Navigraph, and that is also the one that I use. So by just quickly looking over the interface here, having a bit of a scan, I noticed that the cycle is out of date. This is not the current AIRAC cycle, and it is very important that your SimToolKit Pro and your SimBrief actually share the same cycle. You have to be on the same cycle both sides, because otherwise you will get a warning that the routes may not be the same, it may not display the same, may not work the same. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close this application, and I'm going to quickly update my database. So I'm going to just use the Navigraph update tool, and I'm simply going to just click on the update and let it run. As easy as that. So we can remove the download, and we can open up the application again. There you go. There you can see we are now on cycle 2004, which is the current one for this month. In case you are wondering, I just want to quickly get it on screen here. The destination folder that needs to be mapped in the updater, where the nav data cycle needs to go in, is in your documents. You will see SimToolKit Pro, and all you do is you put the database in there. There's your cycle info, and that is the proper location for it. So guys, in today's video, I'm going to change the order of business a little bit around compared to the one I did yesterday. This is just for more logical approach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the settings here at the bottom. and then we're quickly going to run through them. So yes, we want English. My online nickname, you all know, is Schematics, so that's fine. Same for this one. I thought I copied it. Control insert. Same story. Right, we're going to leave the rest as is. I'm going to enlarge that. Apparently that is something that will be increased in one of the next updates again, if I understood Dan correctly, because right now it has no effect, but I like them a little bit bigger. Explain setup. We're going to find our install quickly. I'll be back shortly. And here we go. So this is our explain. We simply browse to it. We make sure we've got the correct exe highlighted. Click on OK. And that takes us to the next step. We are not explain developers. We don't want these tools. Don't care for P3D right now. The flight tools. Over here you can enable your chart pop out. We want to use Navigraph. I do have a subscription for that, so I'm going to leave it as that. Web FMC is one of those miracle things that I really love. It's in the install guide. I'll show you guys later. If you don't have it, get it, because it integrates in here. It's a free FMC pop out that you can get here from the side of SimToolKit Pro, and you can actually talk with the Zibo directly with it, so you don't have to be in the cockpit. It's especially helpful when you do your descent planning and you have to enter the winds and things like that, so you can have the OFP and the FMC right next to each other. Very good idea. Also, like I said, free, so go grab that one. And because I also own Active Sky, I am going to enable the web companion for all its reasons. The next setting we're going to look at is the live map setting. So for my eyes, I mentioned this in the previous video as well, I cannot see that. I need to change this to something else. So I think yesterday we had like a limeish color. Just for the heck of it for today, we're going to keep it on the red theme, just change it a little bit. Maybe not, you know what, let's go for the lime here again. Yeah, it's kind of a entry level lime color, and then on this one we go find something else again. I cannot remember which one I chose. I think it would be that one, because those colors are easy on my eyes, works for me. You guys can go customize it any which way you want, and that takes care of it for me. Then we're going to look at VATSIM and IVAO and these things. So I told you guys to keep these codes handy, so we're going to just pop them in there. Where is VATSIM? I do not use FS Cloud, so that one will remain blank. Just want to make sure we don't have leading or trailing spaces. Looks okay to me. Alright, so that takes care of this page for us. You can come back and edit it anytime anyway, so we're going to move on. The Twitch bot settings, like I'm also using Twitch as I use YouTube, so obviously this has benefit for me. I'm not going to do that on camera and share my private information with you, but the Twitch streamers will know what this is about, so you just have to fill in the blanks and get your token from following the URL link over there. I don't care for the Swift UI mod. That's not for me. I skip that one. And then we've got the module control, I beg your pardon, of SimToolKit Pro, where we can go and switch things on and off. Like for instance, I don't want the checklist, I can switch it off. For the heck of it, I'm going to leave it on, but you can go and decide which portions of SimToolKit Pro you would like to have on or off on this page. As I'm thinking here, we missed out on this tab in the previous video, so I'm going to quickly talk to you about it while we are still looking at the settings. So by clicking on that little gear over there, you can actually come and enable your Active Sky, your chart Fox Right, so those two are self-explanatory. For my purposes, I want Navigraph, so I'm going to enable it. And there's Navigraph inserted and obviously enabled with a tick over there, that slider. And as you guys can see, we've got ChartFox, sorry, that's there already. There's your Airsoft Nav Data Pro, Auto Router, there's Sky Vector, and let's put Sky Vector as well. That takes care of Sky Vector, and let's use Windy as well. Always a nice to have. And then for the guys who are not familiar with this, we can put a custom URL in here. I can, for instance, put my virtual airline in there, and then I must just go and copy the URL where I log into my VA into position over there, and that will give me all the little Active Sky is not running, but it gives me all the tabs. Let's go to ChartFox. There you go. If you don't know what ChartFox is, let me quickly explain to you. It's a free chart service for your approach charts, your airport charts, etc. So you know your normal aviation charts that you get with a VATSIM ID. So you need to have your SSO to log in here. Once you have logged in, you can then start using that for free. Navigraph is all obviously payware. So if you have a username and a password with your subscription, you can add that in here and you can run your Navigraph straight from here. This is obviously Sky Vector, so now you can have your VFR charts right here from Sky Vector as usual. And then we have Windy. All right, so there it's talking about extreme warning. That's interesting. Shame, poor guys. We'll keep them in our thoughts. All right, what I also just want to mention quickly is it works from the bottom up. So if you want to set a specific order for your tabs on that side, work from the bottom up, guys. Just a little tip from my side, and that should get your tabs going for you. For the next step, I am simply going to click on OK. I'm going to go back to the home page, and I am simply going to minimize SimToolKit Pro. For the next step, we then need to go to our install guide and we need to get SimBrief going. So we're going to work a little bit in each, and we're going to show you how to cross-pollinate the information to get the systems set up in SimBrief. And after that, we are going to do the Zibo itself, and then finally we'll be going back to SimToolKit Pro, and we will be taking it further then and marrying it with SimToolKit Pro and getting them to work together as a single unit. I will explain that when we get there. In SimBrief, we need to obviously log in, and then we need to go under dispatch. We need to go to the saved frames page. This is vital because you need to set up a saved airframe with the information provided by the install guide for each variant of your Zibo. So I've divided them into a seater variants. I've got a 160 seater version and a 189 seater version. So I'll show you where to get the information, how to populate it. All the information is in the install guide, but I'll just give you a quick rundown on how to do it this side, what to look out for, what to take note of, and then I will explain how to marry it to your SimToolKit Pro. Right, so that is the next step. Let us start with the install guide. So I'm going to pull it way down, way down, way down. This is the page that we need. So according to the page numbering, this is page 25, and this is the performance data as given by Boeing and the Zibo team. All right, so there are a couple of things we first need to work through quickly. I need to explain to you that the airframe is not going to change. It does not matter how many seats you have inside. What will change is the number of seats, and the CG will move. All right, those are the two basic things. So when you create your template, this was one of the questions somebody asked yesterday. You have to use the same characteristics, the same values, because it's the same airframe. All right, so just wrap your head around that and come to the understanding. The only thing that's going to change is the number of seats and the CG. Now, in SimBrief, the only change you will have from one template to another, between your templates, will be the number of seats. All right. Inside of the Zibo mod, the way Twixtor and Zibo has now created it, that CG will then move dynamically. So if you go into the tablet and you put it on the 160-seater, the CG will be a little bit more backwards. If you go to the 189-seater, the CG will be a little bit more forward, if I recall correctly. Don't hold me to it. I did write it down somewhere. You will read it. But that is what I can recall at this point in time. All right, so in fact, just realize there's going to be a shift in CG. Okay, so neither one of these two things are deal breakers. Neither one of these two things will stretch or crimp the actual airframe, the weights, and the rest of the thing. Okay, it is the same whether you're flying 160-seater right through all the other configurations up to the 189. It's just the seats and the CG. And you are only responsible for the seats. You cannot worry about the CG right now. It makes no difference in your life. When you do your flight planning eventually and you start doing your flights, then you are the master of the CG and you can put the loading where you want it, forwards or backwards, and play around with that. But it makes no difference in this tutorial and setting it all up to get going. Right, so without wasting any more time about that, I just needed to stress it because that was one of the most asked questions yesterday, and every second guy asked this, so I'm just stressing the facts with you a little bit. All right, so let me show you what you need to do to get going. I'm just going to pretend to create a new frame then. So once we have selected the new frame, we obviously need to find the B738 template, which is that one over there. So that's our B738, B737 800 template, and we're going to proceed. This is going to create the very generic template that SimBrief has got in its database, and it is now up to us to get the information from the actual install guide, and we have to then start typing it all in here until this side looks exactly like this side. Please note, and I made the big note over there, the Zibo mod now also supports other seating configuration. Use the same airframe data and only change the number of seats in SimBrief, STKP or PFPX. All right, very important, guys. This is something I found out yesterday to great shock, that a lot of guys don't understand this. The airframe does not magically change in size between the different seating configurations. Whether you have a 160-seater or a 189-seater, it's irrelevant. The shell, the actual body of the aircraft, the weights concerned, the story about that does not change, guys. I did not realize what big confusion there was out there, so I'm making a specific point in mentioning it to you. The values that you see in the install guide, in these tables, whether you use pounds or kilograms, that's up to you. The top one there, that is for kilograms, this is for pounds. It's up to you. The main values will never change. So what you're going to do is you're going to create your first template. Okay, you can set it up for 189 or 160 passengers, doesn't matter, as long as you make sure that your passenger count at the end of the day is what you want it to be. So where's 160? Sorry, my eyes missed it there for a second. So in this template, I'm running it as pounds. So I'm going to use the pounds section in the install guide. I'm then going to set 160 for my first template. I'm going to save it. I'm going to create another template, fill in all the little relevant sections, change it to 189 passengers, and I'm going to save it. The next step, the thing that is very important, is this ID. Each one of your templates, let me actually show you. Each one of these templates, that's the 160-seater, has got a unique ID. That is the ID for this template. All right. When I create the template in STKP, I'm going to come and copy this. So when I make the 160-seater, I will tie it to this number, to SimBrief via this number. All right. When I go to my fleet and I go to the 189-seater, you will see the number has changed. It is a unique number, and the same thing applies in STKP. We're going to create a template. We're going to tie it into SimBrief with this number, and that's how the marriage is made between the two systems. You just have to make sure that these templates are exactly the same as we have in the install guide. The only difference between your templates will literally be the amount of passengers, your max passengers. The other very, very important thing that you guys need to understand is when you look at the passenger weight in SimBrief, all right, if you put your mouse on the little question mark, it gives you the specs. So in kilograms, we're talking 104 kilograms per passenger. That includes 79 kilograms for the person and 25 kilograms for the bags. All right, 55 pounds for the bags and 175 pounds for the person. All right, if you add them together, you get the sum total. Then in kilograms, it's 104, and whatever it is there in 213 pounds. All right, so bear that in mind. That is significant because we need to set the Zibo aircraft up to reflect this. I'm going to show you how to do this. If you then have all this information correct according to the information that is in there, and your Zibo also reflects the same values, I can guarantee you that 99% of the time, and yes, there are exceptions, but 99% of the time, when you create an OFP, the values in the aircraft on the SimBrief OFP and in STKP will match 100%. Now, that is something that took me a while to work out, to set up, and this is what I'm trying to share with you guys now. So, we're going to continue, and I'm going to show you then how to do the aircraft next. So I just want to quickly show this to you. This is the 189-seater configuration that I have. If you go into the checklist, sorry, not the checklist, the install guide, and we scroll down a little bit, you will see there is an example of my SimBrief as well. You can obviously pause the video and have a look here. That's the 160-seater. If we go to my fleet and show you the 160-seater, you'll see it's the same thing supposed to be. I might have changed the radio equipment and stuff, but it's the rest of the figures are the same. So you can pause the video or just go and read from that table as well. These values then obviously come from these tables over here. All right. As a next step, I'm going to show you this. I just want to zoom in a little bit because this is now also in the install guide, and this will be the next section we are going to talk about. All right, everybody, I hope you are still following me. I hope that you I've got some coffee and you are in a relaxed mode. We are on the downhill section now, so not too far to go. But this is the one big missing piece in the puzzle that a lot of guys don't think about, or did not think about, where a lot of queries from the previous video originated from, and also a lot of frustration. So let me take the frustration away. Let me remove the mystery. All right, we have looked at the figures in SimBrief. We have identified them in the actual guide that's here in front of us. We've made sure that they correspond. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're now going to make the aircraft use the same figures so that when we do the math, they actually balance. They are in agreement with each other and match. And for that, you need to go as per the picture there. I did not start my explain. It's obviously done for me, but this is in the install guide now. So go to your layout, page 4 for your standard weight settings. All right. What is absolutely imperative is that you need to set your kilogram values or your pound values according to SimBrief. You have to do that, and it has to be the same for all of the persons. It's irrelevant for us whether it's a child or a female or a male. It does not make any difference for the mathematics. All right, so please make it 79 kilograms or 175 pounds per passenger. All right, this accounts for the person and excludes the baggage. The baggage is taken into account in a different place, and it's not part of what we are talking about here. All right, so please make a clear distinction. All right, 79 kilograms per person, 175 pounds per person. The rest of the values I left at default. The reason for that is mathematics. It just makes the math so much easier. If you feel like playing with it, do that, on your own risk. It's up to you. You're welcome. Nobody's going to stop you. But if you just want to make everything match, these are the values you need to use. So no changes at the bottom, and every passenger the same. Now here is the fun part. It doesn't matter whether you take 180, 187 or 189 seater configuration when it comes to the OFP and things. The CG will automatically shift. All right. The template that you created in SimBrief will be responsible for the magic to make everything calculate correctly. So if you follow this guide and you've done everything up until now, all right, and you have a template for 180, a template for 187, and a template for 189 seats, depending on which one you want, as long as when you do your flight planning, you choose the correct template for the correct aircraft, it will match. The OFP will give you the correct information. Okay, so in our example in this video, we are doing the 160 seater and I'll be doing the 189 seater. All right, and that is going to then give us the appropriate values. So stick around. SimToolKit Pro is next. I'm going to show you how to tie everything together with that unique ID and how to set up the airframes as well as the fleet in STKP shortly, just on the other side of this short break. So right now I've launched my SimToolKit Pro again. We are exactly in the same place where we had it earlier in the video, and it's now up to us to go and create our fleet. And it clearly tells us there's nothing there. It's a brand new installation. So we are going to start at the fleet airframes. All right, that is the foundation of the aircraft. We need to create the frames first, and we're simply going to go into that button, and then we're going to go to the airframe profiles. All right, what we are then going to do is we're going to add an airframe. We are going to call this one the Zibo 160 for the, look at my spelling. Sorry, Zibo. Zibo 160. Right, it's getting late. I need to finish the video. We have to specify the ICAO code of the aircraft, and then we're going to just give it a display name which can be the same as the original name. And this is where the magic happens now. So for the airframe to tie in, to be married to the airframe on the SimBrief page, we need the ID. So remember, this is the Zibo, the 160-seater, and now we are going to go back to SimBrief quickly. This is our template, and that is the number. Let me just grab the whole thing. Right, so we're going to copy that number. That is the unique number. We've said it a few times, so we're going to we're going to paste it, and we're going to say OK. And as you can see, we've got a little green tick. This one is done. While we are here, we might as well add the 189. So we go Zibo 189. Let's copy that. P738. And we're going to paste that. We're going to go to the SimBrief side of things, go to our fleet, go find the 189 model that we created earlier. We're going to copy that number. Make sure you take the whole number ending with a 60, and we're going to paste it. It's the same number. We can verify that easily enough. We click on OK. Now we have two airframes that is now not only inside of STKP, it's also now tied and in marriage with the airframes that we created in SimBrief. So one step closer to being done. The next step is now to go and add your custom aircraft. This is your actual fleet. So we have got the frames in the background, the foundation, and we are now going to put the aircraft together. So the first thing we need to do, and logically speaking, we'll start with the 160 first. We're taking the 160-seater airframe from the back where we've just created it. We're going to give it some more other registration number. We'll just keep it generic. Like I said already to some of you guys and on the previous video, you can change this value at any point in time. So this is just me thumb sucking something. I am going to list it for Ryanair. And then what's going to happen is I need to select the actual sim that we're going to use. You can, if you want to put the aircraft location, we'll do that for the 189-seater because I know where my one is situated. And then what we are going to do is we're going to have to go back to our fleet, grab the 160-seater ID again, copy and paste. And there you go. There is your first aircraft in your SimToolKit Pro fleet, which means you are now able to go and create a flight plan and tie it to this aircraft for your logbook purposes, as well as the SimBrief OFP flight planning purposes. All right, and while we are here, we are going to add the 189-seater, so make sure we grab the right airframe. Okay, ABD, for lack of a better one, you can get the code from your VA or from a photo on the internet or wherever you get your registrations from. That's up to you. We are going to specify a Ryanair yet again. Explain 11. I am currently at knock because that flight of mine never finished, so we'll have to refly that flight. So I've put in there I'm at knock, and my SimBrief ID. And be very careful now, we're at the 160. We need to make sure we grab the 189 one. So we're going to just grab it, make sure we take the whole number, and we're going to paste it in there and click OK. There you go. So now we have a clear identifier between the two, and we are literally ready to go and create a flight. So bear with me, that will be the next section. I will see you in a second. Guys, at this point in time, we are almost done. I want to quickly show you two more things, and I'm going to start just by doing the flight planning because it was one of the last things we did discuss. We've obviously got the two aircraft in our fleet now, so to go and create a flight plan is as easy as this. You can type your ICAO, or you can actually type the word East Midlands, right, and then it will give the rest for you, so you can search either way. You have to select your aircraft, and as you can see, we only have two aircraft in the fleet, so those are the only two possibilities we have. We'll take the 189-seater. We're going to thumb suck a ticket number, and then we're going to thumb suck a call sign for ATC. It's up to you whether you go into, the fancy things here at the bottom. I beg your pardon. It's up to you. We'll just keep it simple. I'm just going to quickly generate a flight plan. We probably have to log into some SimBrief. Not sure why it's not showing there. There we go. Schematics. And I'm just going to tell it to remember to keep me logged in. A very important point is if you log in here and then you decide to go log in on the website, it's going to kick this one out. You're going to have to re-log in and vice versa. SimBrief and the holdings company only allow one instance at a time, so just be careful that you understand that as well. Take note. So we can log in, and there we go, the magic is happening. So according to our templates, according to that little unique ID, the whole transaction is now happening, and we should have the perfect numbers coming back for the airframes that we created. So in a nutshell, that is the flight plan. I really enjoyed this flight. I crashed out, I think, about there, somewhere there where the hand is now. I ran out of memory with the Vulcan flight. You guys can see that on the YouTube channel as well. So I'm going to have to redo this flight. I'll do it in the normal explain until there's more stability in Vulcan. I'm just going to stick to the regular explain then, and once we are ready to fly, we can obviously just click fly now, and let's do that. It's irrelevant, we're not going to do it immediately, but there you go. There you've got your OFP, and like I said, these numbers here, if you go and look at your takeoff weights, remember there is a little bit more in the Zibo, like 100 or 200 kilograms. That's your taxi fuel, but your zero fuel weight will be exactly the same. All of these things will now match because you've gone through this whole process. The rest is obviously up to you. And if we go to the live map, I will show you the significance. Let me remind you quickly. Remember, we set out earlier to give ourselves an online nickname, which is that one. So when you go to the map and you go and look at the traffic, if you click on somebody, it's going to give the nickname there. So that's one way of identifying yourself. On the map, you can obviously enable that's VATSIM and VATSIM traffic there. The blue ones are STKP traffic, the green ones is the VATSIM boys. We can go and see what Iveo is doing, if Iveo is doing anything. I see if you zoom in near enough, it actually gives you the labels outright. That's very neat. Yeah, it does it for VATSIM as well. I've seen it once or twice, but I don't spend much time on this map really. I mean, I've got too many things to do while I'm streaming and so on. So anyway, there you go. That is your way to identify yourself to others, especially the STKP guys. When you enable STKP traffic, there you'll see all your nicknames come up. So those are the nice to haves. The rest I'm going to leave up to you. You guys can go and fiddle with it and have your fun and enjoy yourself. I just want to quickly go to the top to this flight plan. You can clearly see my flight plan is laid out. If we zoom in, you will also see, you see that little limeish color that we were talking about earlier. So this is the reason for customizing the colors, so depending on what background you have, you can then go and set it, if you want to set it for a satellite image or for something like this. It's all good. It's in your hands then. And guys, I hope you enjoy this product as much as I do. Thank you to Dan and the amazing work that you do. What will we do without you? This is a game changer, an absolute Swiss Army knife, as Uncle John says, for the flight sim guys. So many thanks, and we're looking forward to plenty more features coming in. Guys, that is a wrap from me. I've spent a lot of time recreating this video. I apologize for pulling version number 1 yesterday off the net, but things happened and I wasn't happy. So this is, in my opinion, a much better version, much more thorough. It will answer a lot of the queries that came in and take away a lot of the frustrations. If you have more, let me know. I'm not going to pull this video. I don't see any use in that. So what I'll do, if there's any important information I need to add in here or make a note for you guys, look at the very first comment in the video section, just below the video, in the comments. I will pin a note for you if there is anything that I have forgotten or that is pertinent that I did not mention that somebody else has brought to my attention. But for all practical reasons, you can go fly now, and I hope you have a lot of fun. Until the next time, bye bye.